us know. Okay, so the meeting is now recorded. So I have the pleasure to work with Kostantinos, and the honor, I might say, for the last few years. It was a very productive collaboration. Kostantinos is a very fast learner, very hardworking, has an extremely excellent work ethic. And today is a very special day for me too. And so Kostantinos is going to talk to you about his research on characterizing videos on YouTube, videos that are hateful, they are misogynistic, misinformative, videos that spread misinformation. So I will let Kostantinos say more about this. He will expand on this for the next 45 minutes. The presentation will be public for the next 45 minutes, approximately 45-50 minutes. And then we will have a closed session with our PhD examiners, Professor Andreas Andreou and Professor George Pallis from the University of Cyprus. Thank you. I have to thank them for being here today with us. And Kostantinos, the floor is yours.
So thank you very much for the introduction. Can you confirm that my screen is visible and fine?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can see the slides too.
Yes, we can hear you. We can see the slides. You can start.
Very good. So hi everyone, and thank you so much for attending today to watch my PhD dissertation defense. And I hope that I will be able to give you an insight of on the great work that we have done all these years with Michael at Cyprus University of Technology and with our colleagues from Mindrama Lab. I will talk about each one separately at the end of my presentation. So as Michael said, I'm going to talk about my dissertation work, which is on characterizing abhorrent or inappropriate, misinformative, and mistargeted content on YouTube. And I wanted to say a few things before we start. Throughout this presentation, I'm going to use a lot the terms recommendation algorithm and recommendation graph. When I say recommendation algorithm, I actually refer to the system behind YouTube, which is responsible for deciding the videos that will be presented on your homepage on YouTube, or the videos that are recommended to the user while watching another video. And when I say recommendation graph, I refer to the graph that connects YouTube videos with each other based on how they are recommended by the recommendation algorithm. Hence, forming a directed graph where nodes are the videos and edges are the recommendations between them. And last, I will also extensively use the term hop, which essentially means the act of traversing an edge that connects two videos in the graph. I would also like to mention that some of the images in the talk are uncensored and might be offensive. And of course, we do not in any way condone their content, but we have to show them to better articulate the gravity of the problem. So now I wanted to start with kind of the ideas that brought me to do research on YouTube and actually explain why research on YouTube is important. YouTube, as you probably already know, is the leading video sharing platform on the web and the second most visited website worldwide, with approximately 2 billion monthly active users. And every minute, 500 hours of video is uploaded on the platform by the uploaders, as we used to call them. And from that number, we can imagine the amount of data that YouTube has to manage. And last, but probably the most important fact, according to YouTube's product chief, Neal Mohan, more than 70% of what people watch on YouTube is determined by its recommendation algorithm. So on the bright side of the platform, users can access a large amount of well-produced content ranging from educational videos for kids and students to entertainment videos like cartoons and music videos. And also, for many users, YouTube has become one of the most important information sources for news, world events, and various other topics. However, since content is generated by their users, platforms like YouTube are often fertile ground for the spread of abhorrent, mistargeted, and misinformative content. And this is actually not a new problem. The last few years, we have seen extensive anecdotal evidence suggesting that YouTube, and in particular its recommendation algorithm, promote offensive and potentially harmful content like conspiracy theories. And YouTube has also been accused for even helping radicalizing users online. I will give some examples of this later. So some examples of such problematic content is first disturbing, inappropriate, and harmful videos. A lot of them target young children, unfortunately. We can also find misogynistic and hateful content. And another type of problematic content is misinformation, pseudoscience, and a lot of conspiratorial content, especially now during the COVID-19 pandemic. We have seen a lot of this type of videos. And unfortunately, the opaque nature of YouTube's recommendation algorithm makes the dissemination of such videos to millions of viewers, and sometimes this can have entire real-world consequences. So far, the research community proposed the use of data analysis, natural language processing, graph analysis, and machine learning techniques for studying inappropriate content on YouTube. And it has also repeatedly pinpointed the need for effectively moderating such content. However, the various types of problematic content on video sharing platforms like YouTube are relatively unstudied, while also the majority of the work that has been done so far study problematic content at a small scale, let's say. So at the same time, the role of YouTube's recommendation algorithm in unwittingly promoting such content is not entirely understood. Hence, we believe that there is a need to properly quantify the degree of the problem at a large scale for various types of problematic content. At the same time, we need to extensively study misogynistic ideologies on YouTube. And last, but probably the most important of all, as a research community, we need tools and methodologies for effectively studying recommendation algorithms so that we can better also understand YouTube's recommendation system and its potential influence. So to address this gap in the literature, we focus on three research directions for which I will elaborate later in my presentation. The first one, we focus on characterizing and detecting inappropriate videos targeting children of very young age. Next, we focus on the incel community, aiming to understand how hateful and misogynistic ideologies spread on YouTube. Here I wanted to mention that I will provide some background information on incels and their community when I will talk about our work on this topic. And last, we focus on pseudoscientific misinformation and more precisely on assessing the effect of a user's watch history. And by watch history, I mean the videos that the user has seen before accessing another video on YouTube. And so the effect of the watch history on the amount of pseudoscientific content that is being recommended to users. We actually delve into this type of content mainly because they are of great societal interest, and because then dissemination of such content to users can have dire real-world consequences. We also argue that providing the tools and methodologies to analyze the various types of problematic content on YouTube is a significant step towards understanding and mitigating such content. So starting from our first work on inappropriate videos targeting young children, we focus on this particular topic because while YouTube features hundreds of well-produced, inoffensive, child-oriented videos, probably those who have childs, they already know about these videos. But unfortunately, inappropriate content targeting this demographic is also common. And this phenomenon is also known as Elsangate, if you heard about it. So motivated by that, we aim to answer 3 research questions. The first one, we want to see whether we can build a deep learning classifier that automatically detects disturbing videos targeting children. Second, to find how likely is for a toddler to come across inappropriate videos when starting from a benign one. And last, we want to assess whether YouTube is able to effectively tackle the problem in a timely manner. To answer these questions, we collect benign and inappropriate videos from YouTube. And to do this, we start from Reddit. And we actually compile lists of keywords, which we later use to search YouTube and collect videos relevant to the problem we study. And a few words about Reddit. Reddit is a popular news aggregator, also known as the front page of the internet, and consists of more than 1 million communities called subreddits, which are actually created from the users of the platform. Under each subreddit, users can start a new thread or discussion by creating a submission that includes a URL, while other users are able to reply in a structured way with or without the URL. So for our data collection, we focus mainly on 2 subreddits. The first one are Elsangate, and the other one Full Cartoon on YouTube. The former is a subreddit devoted to study the problem of inappropriate videos targeting children on YouTube, while the latter is a subreddit where users share benign child-related videos. To collect videos, we use the YouTube Data API, which allow us to retrieve metadata of videos uploaded on YouTube, like their title, description, the URL, so that we can find the thumbnail and a lot of other information, the comments of the video, the transcript. And we create 4 different sets of videos following different approaches. And we managed to collect in total 857,000 videos. So starting from the first set, to collect disturbing videos, as well as the second one, benign child-related videos, we compile 2 lists of keywords from the title of videos posted on the 2 subreddits I mentioned before. And we use these lists to search YouTube and download the metadata of the videos that we find. We refer to the first set, which includes the mostly disturbing videos, as the Elsangate related videos, and to the second set, to the benign child-related videos, as other child-related videos. Last, to capture more general trends on YouTube, we also collect a set of random and a set of popular videos. And to study the impact of YouTube's recommendation algorithm for each different set, We also iteratively collect their top 10 recommended videos for up to 3 hops in the recommendation graph, as I explained in the beginning. Here, I also want to note that the use of the YouTube Data API is associated with a specific account only for the purposes of authenticating and using the API. Hence, there is no personalization behind the collected videos that we analyze in this work. And actually, the recommendations that we collect are generated based on how relevant the videos are with each other, and some general user engagement and satisfaction metrics on the platform, like videos that have been liked a lot or commented by a lot of users, etc. Next, we manually reviewed a small subset of the collected videos, and we use them as ground truth to train a deep learning classifier for detecting inappropriate videos, which processes various metadata of a given video, including the thumbnail, the title, the tags, and some statistics on the video. Initially, the classifier processes each type of input separately, as you can see in the diagram, and then concatenates them to decide whether the video is inappropriate or not. The developed classifier can detect inappropriate videos with 84.3% accuracy. Next, we use this classifier to study how prominent the problem at hand is on YouTube. We start by classifying all the videos in each set of collected videos in our dataset, and among other things, we find that 1% of the Elsangate related videos are inappropriate. And next, we also study what is the interplay between appropriate and inappropriate videos in each different set. And to do this, we created recommendation graphs for each different set of videos in our dataset, which, as I explained in the beginning, is essentially, each recommendation graph is essentially a directed graph, where nodes are videos and edges are those connecting the videos that are recommended. They connect between them. Then for each graph, we count the number of transitions that the graph makes between differently labeled nodes, appropriate and inappropriate. And we find that when a toddler watches an Elsangate related appropriate video, if she randomly follows one of the top 10 recommended videos, there is a 0.6 chance that she will end up at an inappropriate video. So taken all together, this finding and the previous one show that the problem of toddler-oriented inappropriate videos on YouTube is notable, especially considering the massive scale of YouTube and the large number of views that toddler-oriented videos have.
Kostantinos, can I ask you one question?
Yes.
How many steps in sequence until one reaches this inappropriate content, starting from the recommendations? How many steps one should follow to reach to such content? Is it a stable number? Is it a varied number? How many follow-ups as a chain before one reaches inappropriate content?
Yes, we cannot actually, from our analysis, we cannot actually refer the actual number, but I will show later the experiment that we have done to actually I try to measure this. On this finding here in this slide is just one step, but on our next one, in this slide, we try to simulate this process and start from benign videos and simulate the behavior of a user who watches videos.
Mm-hmm.
And we find that in toddlers or users in general find inappropriate videos in the first or the second hop, in most of the cases.
So this is quite disturbing, I think.
Yeah, and I think this is because YouTube cannot really discern inappropriate videos, and mostly consider them as relevant based on their content, and of course some other factors that they consider. So yeah, I think yes, this is the reason that. But as you move away from these videos, the chance of finding them becomes lower.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so to actually describe what we did to do this, to assess how prominent the problem is on a large scale, and to find what I was explaining now, the chance of a toddler to come across inappropriate videos, we perform a simulation of a toddler who starts from a benign video and then watches videos based on the recommendations provided by YouTube. And to illustrate this for everyone, we provide a snapshot, let's say, of the recommendation graph. That the nodes are the videos, and again, the edges are the recommendations as provided by YouTube. Initially, we select a video to start our work. I will explain how we do this in our experiments in the next slide. And then how the experiment goes, we randomly select another video from among the recommended videos of the selected one, and we repeat this process until we reach 10 hops in our experiment, which actually constitutes the end of the simulation. So the whole process from the beginning to the end, we call it in our work random walk. To select the videos from which we start our random walks, we search YouTube using the lists of Elsangate and other child-related keywords that we use to collect videos in the beginning, as well as a list of sanitized Elsangate keywords. And to construct this list, the last one, we strip all the inappropriate words from the Elsangate keywords using a dictionary of inappropriate words. Now, for each list of keywords, we performed 100 random walks, and we plot the cumulative percentage of inappropriate videos found in our random walks for each different set of keywords. More importantly, we find a 3.5% chance of a trotter who starts by watching a benign video to be recommended inappropriate ones within 10 hops. And as I also mentioned, most of the inappropriate videos are found in the beginning of the random walk. Finally, to assess whether YouTube can effectively tackle the problem, we count the number of deleted videos in our manually reviewed and ground truth dataset. And we find that only 24% of the inappropriate videos were removed, while from those that were still available on YouTube, only 8% of the inappropriate ones were marked as age-restricted. And an age-restricted video is only available to users over 18 years old, so they cannot be accessed by children. And in general, these findings indicate that YouTube's deployed countermeasures eliminated some of the inappropriate videos indeed, but they are unable to tackle the problem in a timely manner. Hence, as a general takeaway, we can say that as of May 2019, when we performed this study, YouTube has not been a safe place for young children. However, here it's also worth noting that in the meantime, YouTube started taking drastic measures to tackle the problem. More precisely, after an agreement with the US Federal Trade Commission, from January 2020, the platform requires from YouTube channels owners to specify whether their content is directed at children or not. And on those videos marked by the uploaders as directed at children, YouTube blocks data collection for viewers as well as comments and targeted advertisements. Next, in our subsequent study, we aim at characterizing hateful and misogynistic content on YouTube by focusing on the incel community. Let me start by providing some background information on this community and the manosphere in general. So manosphere is a loose collection of web-based misogynist movements, roughly focused on men's issues. And the incels are probably the most extreme subgroup of the manosphere. Hence, we believe that it is not yet just another ideology that we should not care about. Instead, incel ideology is an extremist ideology where sexual motivations drive people to become radicalized. And what makes them even more dangerous is that they are honest about what is causing their frustration. And sadly, there is anecdotal evidence suggesting that this community is influenced by the alt-right, which is really worrisome. So someone may ask why we should study incels, even with the background information I provided. So the last decade, the incel ideology has been linked to multiple mass murders. First, in 2014, Elliot Rogers shot and killed 7 people, including himself, near the campus of University of California. And 1 year later, Chris Harper Mercer shot and killed 10 people, including himself, at Umpqua Community College in Oregon, United States. While in 2018, Alec Minassian drove a van into crowd, killing another 10 people in Toronto, Canada. And interestingly, after the attack, Alec Minassian, he did not kill himself. He caught by the police and he confessed that he has been radicalized online by the incel community. So motivated by that, we aim to answer 2 research questions in the study. First, we want to study how has the incel community grown on YouTube over the last decade. And second, we want to find whether YouTube's recommendation algorithm contribute to steering users in general towards these communities. To collect the videos that we analyze, and also to be able to collect some incel-related videos, we look for YouTube videos posted on Reddit due to evidence that the incels are particularly active on this platform. And we start by compiling a list of 19 subreddits related to incels and parse them to gather all links to YouTube videos posted in these subreddits, managing to collect 6,500 unique videos. And we call this set of videos incel-derived videos. I will use this term later in the following slides. And also to capture, let's say, more general trends on YouTube videos shared on Reddit. In general, we randomly collect another 5,800 videos shared in various subreddits, and we refer to this set as the control videos. To annotate the collected videos, we use a lexicon of 200 incel-related terms, and we look for these terms in the comments and in the transcript of the collected videos. We annotate the video as incel-related if it contains at least one incel-related term in the transcript and at least 3 terms in the comments of the video. Otherwise, the video is annotated as other or irrelevant in general. Our final level dataset includes 290 incel-related videos and 6.2 thousand other videos in the incel-derived set, and 66 incel-related and 5.7 other videos in the control set. We then analyze the collected videos to explore how the incel community and on YouTube and Reddit has evolved in terms of videos and comments the last few years. And first, by checking the percentage of videos published per month, we find a steady increase in incel activity for the incel-related videos of the incel-derived set after 2016. To further verify this trend, we inspect the number of unique commenting users per month for both YouTube and Reddit. And we find a substantial increase in the unique commenting users of the incel-derived videos on YouTube after 2016. To verify whether, though this sharp increase is due to some increased interest by random users or to the incel community trying to maintain its user base, we use the overlap coefficient similarity metric to measure user retention over time. And more precisely here, we calculate the similarity of commenting users of a particular month with those doing so the month before. And we find a sharp growth in user retention on incel-related videos after 2017. So taken all together, these findings indicate that incels are increasingly exploiting YouTube to broadcast and discuss their views. Here, note that also the higher user retention observed for other videos is in both sets is probably due to the much higher proportion of other videos in our dataset, which means much more users and more chances to have the same users commenting on the videos. Next, to find how likely it is for YouTube to recommend an incel-related video to a user, we built and analyze 2 recommendation graphs by collecting the top 10 recommendations of each video in both the incel-derived and control sets. And we annotate the collected videos. And for each recommendation graph, we then count the transition that the graph makes in between differently labeled nodes. More importantly, we find a 2.8% chance that a user will be recommended an incel-related video when watching a non-incel-related one. So this likely indicates that YouTube's recommendation algorithm cannot discern so good incel-related videos, which also are likely misogynistic. So to further verify this claim and to find whether YouTube's recommendation algorithm may contribute to steering users towards incel communities, we perform random walks, as we did in our previous study. We perform random walks on the incel-derived and control recommendation graphs, and we plot the percentage of finding at least one incel-related video in a random walk for both the incel-derived graph and the control graph. In this way, we are able to actually simulate the behavior of a random user who starts from one video that is insert-related or insert-related, but here we report only the random walks that started from non-insert-related videos. And this user watches several videos according to recommendations provided by YouTube until he reaches 5 hops. So until he watches 6 videos in total for each random walk. And among other things, we find a 6.3% chance for a user who starts by watching a non-insert-related video to be recommended at least one insert-related within 5 hops. Here we note that in the 2 studies that I have presented so far, we do not take user personalization into account. Hence, it is hard to derive conclusions about YouTube at large. What we do instead, we obtain recommendation graphs using the YouTube Data API, which allows us to analyze YouTube recommendations generated based on content relevance and more generic user engagement and satisfaction metrics, as I explained in the beginning, like the number of views and likes. However, one of the main reasons behind YouTube's success the last decade, let's say, is user personalization. YouTube actually provides personalized recommendations to users based on their interests and various other engagement and satisfaction metrics, like, for example, the watch history of the user. So to get a better insight on how the user's watch history affects YouTube recommendations, our latest work on pseudoscientific misinformation on YouTube has a special focus on how the watch history affects YouTube's pseudoscientific recommendations. So a few words about why we focus on this type of content. Since content is generated by its users, YouTube is fertile ground for the spread of misleading and commercially harmful information like conspiracy theories and pseudoscientific disinformation. And at the same time, we have seen also the last 2 years that the platform struggles to mitigate the harm from this type of content. And for certain types of such content, like health-related topics, harmful videos can have devastating effects on the society, especially during the crisis like the COVID-19 pandemic. So, for instance, since the beginning of the pandemic, we witnessed an explosion in the spread of pseudoscientific conspiracy theories and disinformation, like the infamous pandemic conspiracy theory documentary, like theories suggesting that COVID-19 is caused by the 5G technology, and theories placing Bill Gates in the center of a conspiracy to create the virus and use it to establish world domination. Regrettably, YouTube's recommendation algorithm recommends such potentially harmful content to users. So motivated by this, we focus on pseudoscientific misinformation on the platform, and we use the YouTube Data API to collect 6.6 in total, 6,600 videos in total, related to 3 health-related timely pseudoscientific topics with great societal interest, namely the COVID-19 pandemic, the anti-vaccination and the anti-mask movements, as well as, let's say, a more long-standing pseudoscientific subject, the flat Earth theory.
Papadamou, sorry to interrupt. You got 7 to 8 more minutes.
Okay. So then we annotate the collected videos using crowdsourcing, and we use the annotated videos to train a deep learning classifier for detecting whether a video is pseudoscientific or not. and they developed classifier candidate pseudoscientific videos with 79% accuracy. And this low accuracy actually reflects the subjective nature of pseudoscientific versus scientific content classification. So we use the developed classifier to perform some experiments, and we devise a methodology which we use to analyze the prominence of pseudoscientific content on various parts of YouTube, while also assessing how this is affected by the watch history of the user. We implement our experiments as scripts that simulate real users with varying interests who search YouTube and watch videos based on recommendations. And we create 3 different user profiles for which we build different watch histories, while we keep all other account information the same, so that we control for the noise of the other factors of YouTube profile. To build the watch histories of the profiles that we create, we use the most popular videos relevant to the watch histories of the users that we want to simulate. And we actually create 3 distinct profiles. The first one, our first user is interested in scientific content, another one interested in pseudoscientific content, and the third one interested in both scientific and pseudoscientific. And we also performed experiments so that we simulate non-logged-in users accessing YouTube. And we also perform experiments using the data API of YouTube. Next, using the implemented scripts and the profiles, we perform 3 experiments to analyze, to quantify users' exposure to pseudoscientific content on YouTube homepage, on the search results page on YouTube, and on the recommendations section, which is actually the right side of the browser when watching a video on YouTube. And by running the experiments with different user profiles, we are also able to quantify how this exposure changes based on users' watch history. So I will, since I don't have a lot of time, I will skip to the findings. To the main findings of this work. So by performing experiments with users, with actually real users on YouTube watching videos, we find that the watch history of the user substantially affects what videos are suggested to the user. Next, when comparing the results of the individual experiments we perform.
Are you switching slides? Because I don't see them in the screen.
No, right now, no.
Okay.
I have the summary slide, if you can see it.
Okay, I see the data collection slide. Perhaps there's a problem with Meet.
Okay, I will try to. Maybe now it's fine.
Stop sharing and reshare. Yeah, I can see the recap slide.
Okay, very well. So to summarize the findings of our experiments, in this study, we find that the watch history of the user substantially affects what videos are suggested to the user. And also, when comparing the results of the individual experiments we perform in the different parts of the YouTube platform, we observe that pseudoscientific videos are more likely to appear in search results than other parts of the platform. And we also find a higher rate of recommended pseudoscientific content for more traditional pseudoscientific topics, like the flat earth theory. And the last, although YouTube seems to tackle COVID-19 related misinformation in its search results, here, because I skipped the slide, I want to mention that when we were trying to search YouTube with the term COVID-19, we found out that YouTube returns no pseudoscientific content, but users still receive recommendations to questionable content related to the pandemic in other parts of the platform, like the homepage or the recommendations section of the platform. So to summarize what I have presented, among other things, we have investigated at a large scale the degree of the problem on YouTube regarding abhorrent, mistargeted, and misinformative content, as well as the influence of the recommendation algorithm in the dissemination of such content to users. We have also investigated how misogynistic ideologies spread on YouTube. And last, we have studied how the watch history of a user affects the quality of the content being recommended to him by the recommendation algorithm. And finally, for reproducibility purposes and to enable the research community built on our work, we have released all the collected ground truth datasets, as well as the code of the deep learning classifiers that we have implemented in our studies, and the code of our framework for performing experiments on YouTube, simulating real users, and auditing in general YouTube's recommendation algorithm while assessing the effects of the watch history of the user. So for this talk, I use content from 3 publications. First, from our work on characterizing and detecting inappropriate videos targeting young children, which has been published in ICWSM 2020 and has also received a Spotlight Paper Award. Second, from our work on understanding the incel community on YouTube, which is under a major division for CSCW to 2021. And last, from our work on assessing the effect of the watch history on YouTube's pseudoscientific recommendations, which is also under major division, but for ICWSM 2022. So closing, I would like to thank my advisor, Michael, for his continuous support, valuable feedback, and guidance throughout my PhD journey. And I would also like to thank our colleagues from Minddrama Lab, and Jeremy, Emiliano, Gianluca, and Savas, mainly, as well as various other colleagues from Cyprus University of Technology and Telefonica Research for their valuable feedback and the fruitful discussions that we had. Furthermore, I would like to thank my family and all my friends for their patience and support during this journey. And finally, of course, I owe gratitude to the European Commission's Horizon 2020 program, the National Science Foundation, and the Cyprus University of Technology, of course, for funding my research. And before closing, I would like to spend 1 more minute and pay tribute to the memory of Professor Vassos Sotiriou. I'm grateful for those who also know him. I am grateful for having Vassos as a professor during my bachelor's and master's studies. And I am also thankful for the valuable feedback he gave me as one of my PhD proposal examiners. So thank you everyone for your attention, and I'm of course happy to answer and discuss any possible questions.
Thank you, Kostantinos, for this detailed presentation and for this moving conclusion with reference to our late colleague, Professor Sotiriou. Now the floor is open to the audience for questions. And anyone can raise their hand, can use the raise hand feature, or they can just open their mic and ask any questions they would like to ask. The questions, since we have a general audience, the questions can be of generic nature. They don't have to be technical. They can be questions of addressing the sociological issues that Kostantinos came across, any ethical issues, any ethical challenges in his research. So feel free to comment on his research, on his efforts, in any way that you deem appropriate. Okay, so I will go ahead and ask you a general question. During your research, which one do you think was like the most difficult ethical challenge, the most difficult ethical issue that you have to deal with? From collecting data sets, from dealing with hateful content, or how that hateful content has affected you personally, how you coped with it, or with concerns on how your research and your research results may affect these communities, and in turn affect the general society. Have you contemplated these issues, the legal, ethical, societal impact of the research questions and the answers you provided? Kostantinos?
Yes, starting from any ethical issues that we may find, I think they are two. First, when collecting the videos and you want to analyze them, and then share them with the research community, you have to be careful, not the anonymizing users, not providing, not making publicly available information that may goes against the GDPR guidelines. And the second one is in order to, let's say, find what the video is, under which category falls. Like, for example, in the study of inappropriate content for young children, we wanted to see whether a video is inappropriate or not. And for this, we employed some manual reviewers to watch the videos. In most of the cases, I was one of them. But in my case, because I had to understand a lot how these videos look like, I read a lot before, and I more or less expecting what I was going to see. So I don't think that this affected me in any way, even with the study of the insect community, and because I read a lot of things about them. Whatever I was seeing on these videos was fine for me because I was expecting it. But especially for this study, when having to share these videos with someone else and asking him or her to watch the video, the full video, and categorize it, whether it's good or bad, or the labels that you want to assign to them, there are some issues there, and we had to be careful. And regarding the impact of of the work in the society, I think especially the one which is already published on ICWSM, it has, I believe, some impact because it was at the time that the problem was going public, and a lot of news agencies were posting about the problem. So, and we have also been interviewed from some of these agencies like Washington Post. So sharing our findings with the society, I think we helped in increasing the awareness about the problem, and we are not sure, of course, but we was part of at least pushing YouTube to take some more drastic measures. If not us, at least we contributed some part of it. Of course, yeah, I'm not sure if what YouTube did so far will solve the problem, but at least they are trying. So we hope that this will happen once the other two studies will be published, hopefully. Okay, for the pseudoscientific content one, we have seen YouTube trying to solve the problem, but all the time new misinformative videos come up. So we hope that at least our methodologies will somehow give some ideas to YouTube and to detect these videos earlier before causing harm.
Thank you, Kostantinos. At this point, I kindly request from our very patient audience to leave us, so we can proceed with the private examination session where the examiners will ask the candidate several questions. Again, I would like to thank you all for attending this talk and joining Kostantinos at this end of his long journey towards a PhD. Thank you all. So, Professor Andreou and Professor Pallis, please stay in the call. Everyone else can leave in the next meeting.